Residents in the city of Naples have clearly expressed their priority to preserve the charm and character of Naples. And that means we must recognize the value and importance of the Naples Historic District and neighborhood that is less than 1/10 of 1 square mile.
All too often, historic homeowners come into town and they see a property that they love. And sitting on the property is an old house that might not look as good to them as it might to somebody else. What ends up happening is the advice that they get from their circle at the time is to tear it down. Demolition happens far too often, and it really shouldn't. There are options to consider before making that choice. Naples Historical Society took a leading role with regard to historic preservation because there was a big void. We looked at the legislation that was afforded to those who could restore or rehabilitate a house, and we realized that there were some gentle misinterpretations. But we have a great relationship with the community leaders now in moving this forward, and we believe that this is the right time for people to rethink what their rehabilitation plans might be. This new legislation that was passed in March of 2020 acknowledges the exemption from Florida Building Code's 50% rule. The 50% rule is used for substantial improvements for houses that are undergoing modification, but there's an exclusion, an exemption for historic houses. With this historic rehabilitation legislation, the 50% rule is waived, which means there is no ceiling on the budget to properly rehabilitate a house, and that includes HVAC, electrical, plumbing, all of the items that add so much to the budget. That doesn't matter anymore. There are no appraisals, there's no budget, we're not keeping track of expenses as we go along. It gives builders and architects a fabulous opportunity to do what they need to do as long as they maintain the historic character of the house.
Well, I grew up here. I went to high school here. There was a philosophy and a lifestyle that was magic back in the days, and it's probably been in the last 15 or 20 years we've seen numerous homes, they're gone. The 50% rule is probably one of the reasons why a lot of the cottages have been knocked down here. So now with new legislation that was recently passed in 2020, that doesn't exist anymore. You can have an historic structure with the exterior saying this is old Naples, but the interior, when you come in the front door or get into the house, you realize this is up to today's standards, not only to code, but to design, architecture, and all the finish schedules and details that people are looking for today. This home we're in right now is a 1930 cottage. You know, it has Dade County pine that was used back in the day to frame the structure. The finishes inside are generally almost all pine. The floors are longleaf pine from 100 years ago. All these cottages had porches. Back in the day, there wasn't AC. This particular porch, the owner wanted air conditioning. And so we took the exterior windows and the wainscoting that's about 2 feet up. We enclosed the entire space with hurricane-rated windows, and the kitchen had some interruption with a wall and an opening that went into a dining space. You know, the kitchen, the separate dining. We put a load-bearing beam, and we had the dining room flow into the kitchen. We modernized the entire kitchen with its cabinets, counters, lighting, appliances, but the details are still go along with the interior philosophy of that cottage feel. The outdoor living space was modified. It was air conditioned at one time. It had a fireplace in the center of the room, and it was kind of a sitting area. He wanted to put emphasis on outdoor living and have a very nice uninterrupted view out to a outdoor space. At one time had a swimming pool, and that area was paved with the brick pavers that are 60, 70 years old, so it looks really nice with the landscape, and it's a nice view. The opportunity to save these homes is here now for all of them. So it's just a matter of getting together with the team and the Historic Society and the right contractor and go for it, and you'll be successful with it.
My great-grandfather really needed to take a vacation. So in 1946, William Noah Allen came down to Naples, Florida to find some fishing holes and ended up here. I think everybody was really afraid to really change the look and feel of the house, and because it was so much a part of our family. And so it was a little bit of a fear, but we were ready for the challenge. So we bought the house. When we selected our homeowner team, we really valued those that had an appreciation for the historical aspects that were here in Naples. And John Cook, our architect, was a key component in that too, making sure it kind of went through, and he shepherded through, kind of get everything that we want to get done, and also, meet what the Historical Society would like too. So it was very easy in that regard.
I like working in the Naples Historic District because it's just so rich with context, and the contributing structures in here they just have such a calm and natural architecture about them that they're very easy and relaxed, and I think that's how Naples lives at its best. I think that one of the biggest myths is that the design review of historical projects is onerous, and they tell you everything you can do, and that it's very limiting. And again, this is a district with contributing structures, so if you continue that architectural character and maintain it, you have a lot of freedoms for the other things you can do. For example, in the house we have here today, we did an addition on the back side, maintained the front elevation, even made some articulations to the materials and the architecture on the front.
So some of the changes that we've made interior-wise is that we completely removed one of the stairwells, changed the kitchen substantially.
All updated bathrooms. All of our flooring has been redone. We have a beautiful cabana in the back that was once a small guest house, and we've now changed that into a pool cabana. So that has a cold kitchen, a full bathroom, and a 2-car garage.
Historic restoration does not mean that you have to be stuck in time, and you can remodel the house to today's current standards and the market's current standards and still have the character and quality of a historical house. And without the limitations of FEMA and 50% rule, you're not even limited in the value you can spend.
We really found it to be much more of an open gate. Much freer, and we found it to be a much more supportive environment to work in. This house and the house next door and some of the other houses that are in this historic district, they're so different from one another. It's not one particular style or one particular designer or architect. And I think there's so much opportunity to have those different styles preserved, and you just don't want to see them erased.
We just feel like, here we are at 10th Avenue South with adding our own brand of history here and combining it with some contemporary aspects, and we're just thrilled with how things came out. So we're proud to be a part of the Naples Historic District.
I always told everybody, including myself, I would never live in Florida.
And I told him I'd never live in Florida. But when we came to Naples, it was like so special. And these neighborhoods made it special. So that's why to be part of trying to maintain this and keep it is very important to us.
The people that understand the history, when you come into the team, especially these cottages, to find out who to hire for your team, to find out who to talk to, not hire, but who to talk to for your team.
Just guidance.
And just guidance and so forth. And you find the right people to execute your plan. I mean, that's where we've been so lucky finding John Breckel.
We came to meet Steve and Nancy to look at their kitchen. And we were excited because we knew they wanted a vintage kitchen. We have a small mill shop in town. And with our history of working on historic homes up in Chicago area, it was exciting because no one was doing that in Naples. Everything was getting torn down and replaced. So we looked at the kitchen, but as soon as I seen that there were structural issues, the floor was leaning. After crawling underneath the house, we seen that the years had taken its toll on the structure. And then we gave some recommendations to Steve and Nancy that, this was going to be a major renovation. After going through some of the bureaucracy at the city with the permitting, we went to see the Historical Society and realized there was an easier path.
I knew that I had to have a new kitchen. I wanted the modern conveniences, I wanted nice bathrooms, nice showers, but we wanted to try and make it look as it belonged with the old house. We wanted to be able to live nicely, easy to keep clean everything, but have that look. And I just think what we did has just made this house like a jewel box to me. It's just beautiful.
I had some resources from the Midwest to get some reclaimed white oak floors that came out of old homes, things like that might not be important to a lot of people that they could pick off of a shelf. Those things are very important to the Blisses, that we maintain the authenticity of the home. In their kitchen, they wanted to maintain this vintage look, but we were able to blend that with all of the new hardwares and the soft clothes and the nice appliances, which gave them the functionality and convenience that they were looking for, but still maintained the character of the home.
You look at the result, it makes us feel good to come home, you know, into this house. It really makes me feel good now that we have a screened-in porch. When you walk in the front door and you see the back of the house, it makes the house look so much bigger. It just added to that whole feeling, and we love it.
The first thing that I think I would say to someone that was thinking about purchasing a cottage is anything can be done if you have the right team. And that's the key, is getting the right team together, the right people, getting everyone on board, going in the same direction. I would strongly recommend that they go to Naples Historic Society first to get some direction. We see so many people tearing these places down. I don't think so much that they don't enjoy that or they don't like that ambiance that comes with these cottages. They're just misinformed.
We weren't sure whether we were going to get this house or not, but we kept on negotiating for years, and finally we ended up with a contract on it. And so there was no question that we were going to maintain the character of it. There's no way we were going to tear it down. We wouldn't have wanted the lot without the house. And so we're very happy with the team that we have. And that's probably the biggest thing. I hate to see people hire somebody that's just that has no experience with this type of renovation, because it's going to end up costing them in the long run. And we're trying to keep natural materials, like the outside of the house would be the same kind of material that it was. We have a cedar shake for the roofing with the copper on the lower roofs. And then all the outside decking are going to be Ipe, which will give it a really nice look.
So far, we are trying to reuse the Miami-Dade pine, but without enough to do the floors, we're going to refinish them and put them in our ceilings. We have the original sink, which is about 4 feet long, that we're reusing in our laundry room. The fireplace brick is all being put back up. The fireplace wood mantle and the surround is all being put back up again as well.
So in the end result, we have a dream house that has old character, living in this beautiful historic district on the beach, which is a bonus. And we're very excited to raise our 3 little kids here. You can't build charm. A house is either going to have a historic charm or it isn't. So I would say think twice before you tear them down, because once they're gone, they're gone. And it's a blight on the whole community and the look of the town. We would not have bought the property if not to do the historic renovation. That was the lure, that was the excitement, that was the charm of it. And so to build a new house, we've done that and it's not the same.
There are between 6,000 and 9,000 registered real estate agents in Collier County. Reaching all of them is difficult, but we're working with local institutions to try to reach them. They are often the gatekeeper for these historic homeowners or people who don't have an historic house, but they're interested in living in this wonderful area. So reaching them, because they can often suggest vision or augment the vision of the person who's buying the house. Professional real estate agents are an essential part of this homeowner team.
First thing that comes to mind when I think about our first trip here was that the selling realtor told our realtor, oh, if your clients are interested in rehabilitating an old home, they should skip this because this is a tear down. Yeah. And so fortunately we didn't listen to that, and Nancy, more than me, saw the potential here, and so we set about trying to rehabilitate it.
The being declared a historic home, they really are interested in what the house looks like from the street. That fits historic preservation and gives the idea of what Naples looked like. We felt really lucky getting the people we had work on the house. You know, the builder, once we got in it, found little niches that he thought could be saved. And he said, we don't see Dade County pine. These things are great. I know we thought about popping the ceiling up, but you might want to consider saving them. We can take them down, we can clean them up, which is what we did. And it's such a beautiful feature when you walk in the house. We replaced the windows here, but we actually saved a good many of them and made built-in cabinets out of them. It adds to the feeling of keeping that old home feel within a totally remodeled interior. Everybody kind of looks for a little open space with their kitchen and their television family room. 2 little walls came down, and other than that, it stayed pretty much so the same. Everything that anybody would have in their current kitchen, you can have here. There are so many things available on the market as far as fixtures going in bathrooms and things. All these things are within the realm of putting into a rehabilitated home.
When I talk about historic preservation, I often use an old joke. This is my grandfather's axe. I've replaced the head twice and the handle 3 times, but it's still my grandfather's axe. And the point is, material things decay, but it's the sentiment that matters. That's what endures. So with a rehabilitated home, you've preserved the sentiment from the outside. It looks very much like a 1930 beach home, but on the inside, you've got all the modern conveniences.
In the end, the come around on that, after the house was what it is now, that same realtor called our realtor and said, tell the Gallaghers I have someone who wants to buy their house and they should name their price.
Naples Historical Society crafted a document endorsed by the City of Naples called the 6 Steps to Get You There. The first step is to call Naples Historical Society to discuss the project. Homeowners that have a vision on an historic house, the first thing that they need to do is to have the right homeowner team, and that means a homeowner team that's knowledgeable about this legislation and the options afforded to them. We sit down together at a table and we talk about what their vision is. We talk about the reality of what historic preservation affords them, because it's not just to keep it exactly as is with a fresh coat of paint. Historic preservation has several gradations of opportunities for rehabilitation, and most of what happens in Naples is rehabilitation. The extent of modification that can be made is something that not many people know, and that's part of what the Society's been trying to do for so long, is to educate the population, residents, the institutions itself, the building industry, and anybody else who appreciates historic houses.
I've always loved old buildings. I have loved this town. I have seen Palm Cottage through the years. The Naples Historic District is an anomaly here in town. It is an opportunity for all of us to enjoy what these old cottages were like. But if we have these old places, why not take care of them, and why not sort of reinvent them? It's an opportunity to refine what we already have. And it is it's a wonderful place. Just try to get the word out. And that's the most important thing I think we can do, really, so far as these treasures are concerned.
Before tearing down an old house, please consult with someone who knows about this legislation. Call Naples Historical Society or the City of Naples. Explore your options before you choose to demolish an historic house. These are our community's expectations.